Hello, I hope that you're doing well. This is by far the nicest day on the coast yet. It's too bad it gets a little backlit here and you can't quite see the ocean. It's warm, it's not just sunny, it's warm. This view is a little bit better without me getting in the way. Of course, the ocean expanse in real life is a lot bigger than the little pinpoint that you see on the picture there. So lately I've had this story come up in my head. I put it in a blog post, and it's a true story that happened to me once. I was living in Santa Barbara, and I haven't gone backpacking in a while, but at that time I was much more of a hiker and backpacker, and I loved going by myself. I loved just being out there in the silence and with myself and the peace and the nature and feeling one with the nature. You know, all of that was really, really nice. And what was happening was this was summertime. It was just going to be a short trip, like a weekend trip. I took my pack out with me and went into the valley behind the hills that you see from the ocean of Santa Barbara. And then set up my campsite, or at least my pack, in a nice wooded area with a stream going through. And then took a day bag with me and took a little walk over to the mountain ridge. And then the mountain, what I was supposed to do was walk alongside the top of the ridge, going all the way across about 6 miles, and then go down the hill and back around along the stream or river there back to my campsite. So this was probably about a 12-mile day, 10-mile day, something like that. It was a big, long day. And this is summer. This is in Santa Barbara. This is desert weather. I went equipped with extra treats in my bag that would last for the day of hiking, and lots of water, whole bladder bag full, and even rehydration salt. And here, I won't get into all the details of the story. You can read my blog for that, and I'll post the link at the bottom of this video. But anyways, then what you do is you walk over to the ridge, and then you go up the top of the mountain, right? And then you walk along the top of the ridge. As soon as I got to the top of the ridge, it was entirely brush. This was not a well-trodden trail, so it was not maintained as such. And desert brush is prickly. And this was the first time that I decided I was going to be backpacking in shorts and hiking sandals. So normally I'm always wearing closed-toed shoes and pants. So I was getting pricked. And, I'm walking along, this is just a little bit. And so you kind of think, well, maybe it'll clear up. So you keep going, and it's still prickly, and you keep going, and it just gets worse, and it gets worse. And you look back behind you as you're standing in the middle of the brush, and you look back and you say, well, I know I have to walk through quite a bit of brush if I go back the way I came. And if I keep going forward, maybe it'll get better. I don't know how long the brush will be going forward. Well, guess what I did? I kept going forward. And I went forward, and I went forward, and there was more brush, and more brush. This went on for 6 miles. It was rough, and of course it was hot, and I was definitely drinking that water that I had with me and sweating away. I finally made it to the end of the ridge where you're supposed to start going down. So I started going down. The path was a little bit more open. It was a little bit softer brush. And then the path split in 3 directions. So I went down the leftmost one first because it seemed like that would be the most direct route to the path that I needed to take at the bottom of the mountain. And that ended up in brush. So I came back up, went down the middle path, ended up in brush. And that brush was too rough. That was even more rough to go through. So that was not going to happen. Came back up. And then the third path, again, the same thing. So at this point, I had to think, well, I still could bushwhack. I see the river at the bottom, but I have no idea where the trail is because I've never gone that way before, and it's likely to get dark. So I may have to start finding my way in the dark. Or I could go back exactly the way I came and know exactly what I need to do. So here I am in very extreme heat. And at this point, I'm going to be hiking a lot more than I expected, in more extreme heat than I expected, and I will run out of adequate water and food. And I decided that I was going to go back the way I came, and I decided I was going to run because it was still going to get dark, and I wanted to get as much of the hike in before dark. And so imagine, and I won't tell you all the details, you could read the blog for that, but there I was having to go back through the brush that I had gone through, but it was even worse because I had to run through it. And yes, I came out with all these scrapes and cuts on my legs. And I just wanted to put that question out there because that's a decision that I'm facing, right now of, sometimes you're going through something challenging, but there's this hope, right? That it could get better. Or how much do you make your life be exactly what you want right now and not even continue on the path? Like, let's say you could get a helicopter and just get airlifted off of the path, or maybe you do go backwards the way that you came and that sucks. I would say you could do any one of those, and any one of those is probably fine, but I'm guessing that the main thing that draws you to choose which direction would be intuition. Would be, do you have a desire for what is at the end of the path? Then are you going to do whatever it takes to get to the end of the path? Now, of course, this path was a loop for me, so all I had to do was end up where I started, so I could go in either direction. But let's say there was only one point at the end, and you wanted it. You might just keep going for it. And you might be fine, there's the idea of the ends justify the means, or do the means justify the ends? So you might be fine with it sucking on the way and then something great will be there. Or you might prefer for it to be great as you're going along. I want to hear what your preference is and what you might do in some of those scenarios. Probably wouldn't even be going out backpacking at that time of year if you knew what you were getting into and had a little bit more sense about you. But the good news is I wasn't the only crazy person out there, but I was the only crazy person who was hiking that far on the trail. And I'll put the link on the bottom of this video so you can read the whole story. And hopefully you won't think I'm too crazy. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.